lady that I do on YouTube, she's so flippant about certain stretches. She's like, now just do this. And I'm like, do what? My arms would break. So it's like, do this. And then I'm supposed to get my hands like palm to palm at this point. How the fuck?
I don't think that's possible.
That's why. And she's like, now just do this. And she's so yeah, you can see where it's going. But the way she's like so casual about it, I'm like, this isn't like downward dog or like a front fold. This is like some hard ass shit. Can't do it. Can't do it.
We're not all that bendy, lady. Okay?
Yeah, she's crazy bendy. Ooh,
now just use your double jointedness to do this.
Yeah, now just pop your shoulders out of socket real quick. Brain ya. I don't know where that came from. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Wait, how urgent am I on this?
Pretty fucking urgent.
Okay. JD, come with me right now.
Wait, where are we going?
There's no time to explain.
There isn't?
No, we've just got to go now, away from here as fast as we can. If I took a moment to stop and explain why, we might not get there quickly enough.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
Let's go.
Let's go!
Let's
go! Let's go! You just logged in to the 3-Bit Gamer Show! Welcome to the 3-Bit Gamer Show. I'm JD.
This is Peterson.
And let's go. Oh, come on, guys.
The other way the kids say it is, let's go.
Oh, do they say it calm?
Like when something you're like we're playing a game or something, and my kids are like, something good happens, they'll just be like, let's go.
Oh, it's like a tick.
And I'm like, is that a question? Like, why are you saying it like that?
Yeah, it's like a verbal tick.
Let's go.
They all have them now.
They just say it.
And they dab?
No, they don't dab anymore.
They don't dab anymore?
Dabbing's gone.
If you dab, are you like an idiot? I guess like if I was doing the Macarena in 8th grade, everyone would be like, dude, that was 2 years ago.
Like,
are you
doing that?
Stupid?
Macarena.
Live from the 3-Bit Gamer Show. The news. Okay. Our news this week is brought to us by the fine, wonderful people at Crave Cookies. I mean, just the best people that are involved with that company.
Well, they're okay.
They're pretty solid. There's this one guy that works at West Valley. Real gentleman. Real class act.
Well, I don't know who you're talking about. What's his name? Is he new?
Guys, Crave Cookies is this cookie shop. If you don't know about it by now, what are you doing? Do you really hit fast forward?
Stop fast forwarding through all of it. There's some good content in here.
Yeah, no, outside of the cookie content and the sponsorship content, there is some good nuggets that you're missing.
Yeah.
Anyway, you go to cravecookies.com. You can see the cookies that they've got out this week and this month. And those are here till Friday. It's Tuesday and you're listening to this podcast. Those are the ones that you'll have till Friday. But guess what? On Friday, the menu changes, and we don't know what that is. You don't know what that is until we tell you.
2 people in the world know that. It's JD and Trent. That's it. They know.
And now, 5 more people are going to know about it.
Yeah.
Now, listen, this is a great responsibility for you 5 people.
I'm going to hear about it right now, so that's one.
All right, so here's what's coming up for next week on the cookie menu of the week. We've got the chocolate chip, peanut butter cup, still the monthly cookie, maple doodle. I'm thinking that's a sticker doodle with maple flavoring in it.
Okay,
so it's going to be like a pancake churro. I don't know,
churro pancake.
But here's the big one. Here's the big ticket item: is the banana bread cookie.
Not for me.
I don't know what that's all about.
You banana bread lovers will like that one, I'm assuming.
Guy comes in with a Walmart order like a week ago, and he's got this giant, essentially, like it's like a giant bindle over his shoulder
Is that like the homeless guy thing?
Yeah,
Like
but it's
from the
huge.
cartoons?
It's like the size of a body bag.
Like
Not
this huge
exaggerating, just
spindle.
huge bag.
Okay.
And it's all sealed shut. And he's like, here's this. And I was like, what the ever-loving fuck? And I pick it up and it has this strangest shape. I'll just spoil what was in it was these big cans of dried banana chips.
Oh.
Like the big ones you get like for preserves.
Yeah.
Or for like what is it? Prepper.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you're a prepper and you're super into bananas, like
You
you
get
have these. Yeah.
But like imagine how weird a giant sack filled with these feels.
Can I
I
be
had
honest
no
with
idea.
you? I know what they smell like, and I don't like that smell.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't like bananas.
we've also got the Biscoff explosion
Okay, the exploding Biscoffs.
and the chilled cookies and cream.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. So let's go to Crave Cookies. Go to cravecookies.com, Crave Cookies, the store. Download the Crave Cookies app and place an order and get your cookie on.
There it is.
EA is working on putting more in-game ads in its AAA games. Good for these guys.
You know what? Like, honestly, like, way to lay the groundwork. Like, you're really going for it.
This is something I was complaining about to Peterson earlier this week, but it seems like everyone's just so lazy these days. And like everybody, I know we're just chasing quarterly profits. And the first thing we do is just layoffs. We just cut payroll. And that's great. But you can only
gone. Get it out of there.
You can only do that so much. You can only cut down so deep before you hit bone, and then you got to stop cutting.
At some point, they realize, oh shoot, this company actually needs people to produce something.
So what's next?
Yeah.
The only other idea that apparently they ever teach in business school: ads. You can't do layoffs. Do ads.
Honestly, I feel like I would do really good in business school right now. There's like 3 answers to everything.
We would crush,
dude.
Crypto. Ads, bros,
fired, layoff,
metaverse, layoffs. They're like, oh my god, this kid is a wunderkind,
like,
just a genius.
How do you know all? That's our whole curriculum. How did you already know? Did you already come to here?
Are you the new professor? Anyway, this is EA CEO Andrew Wilson in a Q&A during the EA's latest earnings call. This guy, Eric Sheridan from Goldman Sachs. Yeah, you sound like you work at Goldman Sachs, Eric Sheridan.
Sound like a Goldman Sachs.
Yeah. He asked Wilson about dynamic ad insertion in traditional AAA games. I don't know about you, Peterson. You think we'd nominate this Eric Sheridan guy for Shitbird of the Week?
Well, I don't know. Let's see.
And let me tell you something, Shitbird.
You win.
Dude, imagine how bad your brain has to be. How many worms you had to have picked up in South America that are slowly eating away at your gray matter to really stand up at an earnings call and ask about dynamic ad insertion. Excuse me, I have a question about dynamic ad insertion.
Like, we don't like that guy.
I don't like this guy.
Listen, gamers, once again, we need to unite. I don't often propose that we dox a person,
but Eric Sheridan at Goldman Sachs
sometimes,
I mean, might be a good place to start. Oh, yeah, you Google this guy. That's
okay. Now I
literally exactly what I expected him to look like.
I do want to make fun of his face.
And he did the voice in my head exactly what like this guy would look like.
Oh gosh,
isn't that like spot on? Exactly like.
Yeah, this guy's never played a video game in his life.
No, but he has dabbled in dynamic ad insertion. So EA CEO Andrew Wilson is like, oh yeah, I love dynamic ad insertion. He says, quote, advertising has an opportunity to be a meaningful driver of growth for us. We have teams internally in the company right now looking at how we do very thoughtful implementation inside our game experiences, aka just cram them the fuck in. Also, I like this whole idea that, we're not already doing it when all their sports games are like chock full of fucking ads.
Like so full of ads. That's all it is.
But I guess this is asking about dynamic ads. So these are ads that they're catered to the recipient, either by geolocation or like shopping patterns or what have you. The most insidious types of ads that rely on stealing your data.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what Eric Sheridan wants, because that's gonna, control how much stock Goldman Sachs buys this quarter. Dude, what the fuck are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing?
Can I ask you a question, JD?
Yeah.
Do you want to make $1 million?
Yeah, it depends how.
We're doing it. Okay, here's what we do. We need to outsource a game, a very simple game. It's going to be a stupid game, but it's going to be the most memeable game you can think of, because we're going to get to the dynamic ads first. But here's how it works. The game is going to be blatant about where the ads are going to show up on your character. He's going to be holding it. But what's going to happen is people will figure that out, and they're going to start doing a lot of Google searches for like dildos and things like that. And then your character is holding a dildo. We want this on purpose. We are playing into it. Now people are sharing it on social media, and they're like, this is hilarious. Now people are buying the game just so they can make the most ridiculous thing, because we're using ads, just using like image ads in the game on purpose. What do you think?
I like this a lot.
I
like this a lot. You're equipping your character based on your search
your
trends.
Google search history. And people are going to figure that out fast, and they're just going to start driving it. And that's exactly what we want.
My character is going to be equipped with so much compost, because that's my whole search history.
Like carrying a beetle.
Yeah.
Like there's just
he's like, it's a proto scorpion. Now let me tell you about these little guys, because they're great for your compost pile.
I don't even know what mine would be.
Pseudo scorpion. I'm sorry.
Well, now mine would be Eric Sheridan, because that's my latest Google search.
Eric Sheridan.
Goldman Sachs. Anyway, that's my idea.
Yeah, so
I think it's $1 million idea.
I like that. We should take it to that Boston stupid shit that nobody needs hackathon. We'll put that game together.
Dude, we could probably get into the finals with that. So
we get into finals without even fucking trying. Like they made that competition for us. Nintendo's president says, quote, game development will become even longer, more complex, and more sophisticated. I don't know about that last one, but I can say those first two are almost definite.
Yeah, that's a guarantee.
Sophisticated maybe at Nintendo. Everywhere else, we just do layoffs and crunch.
I think it'll be more sophisticated with indie devs. Everyone else is like, they just hired some kid out of school, and he's like, I don't know. I know how to code in this one language, and I barely know how to do it. And they're like, make a shooting animation. He's like, all right, I don't know how to do that. I'll mess around. I don't think, I think, also, like, this is almost like a duh. Yeah, of course it is. Like, it has been doing this for 20 years now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is, I almost put this on Riblets. I just thought it might be kind of interesting. This is Shintaro Furukawa. He was talking to the Japanese magazine Famitsu, and he said, it's inevitable the game development will become even longer, more complex, and more sophisticated in the future, while M&A may be considered as a means to deal with this, which he may be hinting that Nintendo may look to purchase studios to simplify or speed up game development. I will say this. I feel like this is defeatist and a strange flag to plant, because all signs point to a lot of things speeding up if you're managing things correctly, of course. But if you look at what AI has done for a lot of these industries in terms of just crunching out things and speeding up development, speeding up design. When I was still working in tech, some of the things that AI was doing in terms of design, you could just type in a sentence in one of these design softwares that I use, and it could just create a complete workflow. You're like, I want a map app that shows you how to get to the closest coffee shop. And it would just boop, bloop, bloop, pop out like 6 screens ready to go. Like unbelievable stuff. Considering how hard I worked to be able to do that same thing would take me like an hour or two, were I to do it all manually. And so those types of things I feel like aren't being taken into account And this just does feel a little defeatist, and it seems like a huge bummer because the way I see it, it's already way too fucking long. And like you said, this is the trend that we've been heading on for so long, and everyone seems so resigned to it. I don't know. I don't buy it. Like if you can't get these games out, if you can't get because here's the thing. Skyrim was amazing. Skyrim did not take them 10 years to make. Starfield was god awful dog shit, and that did take them 10 years to make. So what are we doing here? Can we not make just a game at the same, like exact same level of technology that Skyrim is with new stuff and just say, look, man, this is what we have capabilities to do. And like, we just want to get games out there. I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling.
I think maybe he might be viewing things from the lens of Breath of the Wild, the first one, right?
Yeah.
Because that one did a lot. Like technically, they had a lot of things going on where you could climb on anything, explore anything. There was like so many systems in play.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the lens he's taking it from, saying like, hey, that game has been like our most successful game ever, right? This Zelda Breath of the Wild franchise. So if that's what people, maybe he's thinking like, oh, if that's what people want, that's what's going to make billions of dollars, then it's just going to get more complicated. Whereas like, but it does feel like once you have that framework, it's not as bad. Like with the second one, Tears of the Kingdom, right? It didn't take them as long as Breath of the Wild, I don't believe. And so, I don't know. Maybe he's viewing it from that lens, because I definitely do see like people trying to get more complex with things, and it hasn't necessarily been working.
Yeah, that's I guess that's like the very simple way to say what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing, like adding all this complexity, adding better graphics and all this ray tracing and shit. What has that done for us?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that has really been the deciding factor for most people in playing the game. We just want to play fun games. And you've seen that, like, we're playing games with crappy graphics. We're playing great games with good graphics. Like, we don't care as much about that anymore. Like, we've seen it. Right back 20 years ago, it was like, I want the next best graphics, because we hadn't seen it yet. Everything was revolutionary. It was like you'd see the new graphics and you're like, when Crysis came out, it was like, just play this because it's like so crazy. And now like we've seen it. And so like it's not novel anymore. We just want to play a good game. Like I don't care that much about how I'll notice how good it looks for a second.
Like they stopped focusing on just making like a really baller game, and that would seem to be like the major focus, is like making some technological masterpiece that also has a ton of monetary systems baked into it.
Well, that might be the other problem. Like the always online probably creates a bunch of issues.
Yep.
And so
rather than just a product you send out and it's just like good to go. Anyway, so we'll see. I guess we'll see. Before handing out game codes, Marvel Rivals. Ugh. I have to keep saying that.
It is a little hard to say. Marvel Rivals.
I don't like it.
Why would you name it with rival Marvel?
Yeah. It looks okay on paper, but if you actually say it out loud, that should have gotten. I'm gonna start this over.
Marvel Rivals.
Why don't you spin that clip up for me again? Before handing out game codes, Marvel Rivals made reviewers sign a contract stating that they wouldn't give the game a negative review. It's a good way to make sure you only get good reviews. Genius.
Brilliant. Honestly, just
this was spotted by streamer Brandon Larned posting on Twitter. This was an agreement people had to sign from NetEase. That's who's making this, by the way. So,
they're great at that.
Some context to get game codes. So you had to sign this contract to actually get your game code. Now, these are streamers. This is not like a publication, which this would also be insane for that. But the fact that they're like so concerned that just random ass streamers that are trying to play this game might say something negative about it, and that they make them sign a contract. Let me read this non-disparage clause in the contract. The content creator agrees not to make any public statements or engage in discussions that are detrimental to the reputation of the game.
Don't do that.
This includes, but is not limited to, making disparaging or satirical comments about any game-related material, such as game features, characters, or music.
No satire.
Engaging in malicious comparisons with competitors or belittling the gameplay or differences in Marvel Rivals or providing subjective negative reviews of the game.
Subjective next to like, if you didn't like it, you can't
Yes.
that.
Incredible. These nut jobs. I love that that's the default, which is like the standard Chinese Communist Party line, like, do not criticize the party. And they're like, we don't know how to deal with this like whole American streamers thing. So we're just going to default to what we know, which is that you can't speak your mind. You have to sign this contract that you won't speak your mind. The company responded. There was obviously a lot of backlash.
Oh, yeah.
We sincerely apologize for the confusion, suspicion, and frustration caused by these excessively restrictive terms, and thank you for sharing with us. Dude, that's kind of a 180. We cherish and appreciate every suggestion given by our players and always respect your feedback. Dude, are they going to take me out back and shoot me with a shotgun? Why are they talking to me like this?
7 streamers have already disappeared. Guys, don't stream Marvel Overwatch, okay? Just don't play it.
No,
that's what they know. They don't want you to be like, this is Overwatch with Marvel skin.
That's what they said. They said you can't even compare it to other games. Like,
how would you even review this game then? Since it is an
gush
Overwatch,
about it. You just gush.
Like, this was an incredible feat of engineering. All the characters looked incredible. None of them looked wonky at all.
This made the moon landing seem like a waste of time in terms of human achievement.
Honestly, top 10 things China has put out in maybe
Since
ever
the wall,
in my whole lifetime.
Honestly.
Yeah.
This is
Great
the best
Wall
thing
of
since
China.
that big old long wall they made.
Marvel Rivals. Maybe it's maybe it's better in Chinese or something, Mandarin. Like, it sounds
it makes
better.
way more sense.
But now that you said that, like saying Marvel Rivals, I don't like that.
No.
Like, you could have named it anything. There's no context for Rivals. There's not like a big, deep Marvel connection there.
There's a parody film in that series, that old series 30 Rock, and the film is called Rural Juror. That's what this reminds me. This is Rural Juror.
This is Rural
Marvel Rivals. Yeah.
Marvel Rival.
Marvel
Rival.
Devolver Digital's co-founder says large-scale game development is crushing under its own weight. This was an interview with Nigel Lurie, who's a Devolver Digital co-founder at GDC. So I don't know why it took so long to get it out, but this is fascinating. This guy has some very interesting thoughts that I feel like kind of line up with a lot of the things we say. We talk about it every week. I'll just read some of these quotes because I just liked some of these quotes that he had during this article. There's us. He's talking about Devolver Digital on the maybe smaller to medium size end, but on the larger end, it feels like it's crushing under its own weight a little bit. The consumers are so tied up in some of these really fantastic live service games, but there's only so much time they can spend. So there are more and more huge games being launched, asking for an enormous amount of time, but there's just not that much time available for people to play. I love that point, and I really don't think I think about it in that frame enough when we talk about games and we talk about the competition.
Yeah,
is that they're competing not just for dollars, which is always how I think about it, but they're competing for time. And a lot of these games, if you think about this, like subscription games and stuff, like if you're paying $10 a month for Game Pass and that's all you do, then no, people aren't. Those games on Game Pass are not competing for your dollars. They don't care. They've made their nut, but they are competing for your time because they obviously want their game to be played on Xbox Games Pass, but they're competing with like 100 or 200 other free games that you have. And that's another thing that he kind of mentioned is like Game Pass is cool for these smaller to like mid-sized game studios to get their game like in front of more people and to get a bunch of money from Microsoft. But now your competition goes from, where you have an edge because you might have a smaller game that costs $15 to, now your game's competing with $70 games and the latest Halo game and the latest this and that. There's always new games being added. And that amount of time that gamers have to dedicate is finite, and I think that's a real interesting thing to think about.
Maybe like subconsciously, because I don't think about that as much. But maybe subconsciously, that's why some of these single player story games, that's a factor on why they've been so successful, right? Because it's going to end. You know, you're just going to play it, it's going to end, and then like you can play something else. Whereas if you're like, if I'm like, hey JD, you want to start getting into Fortnite? Like that's it. That's what we play now. We play Fortnite all the time. You want to play WoW? That's it. We play WoW now.
That's where my time goes. I have this. I can
Right.
play for like 2 hours after my kids go to sleep. That's it. That's what I do.
And like a good point is like Planet Crafter. Me and JD are playing Planet Crafter quite a bit, and we're almost done. Like, and that's been, I think, a real positive for me because we're gonna finish the game.
I have stuff to do.
Like there's other games I want to play, and like, you know what I mean? And I do get, I mean, you've seen it for the whole time we've done this podcast. I get burned out on games. I move on pretty quickly. I get distracted, and then it's hard for me to go back. But I know we're going to finish this game, and we're probably going to finish it next time we play it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so yeah, it's, I think that's a huge positive. It leaves a good taste in your mouth with the game. Like with Hogwarts Legacy, it was long. I feel great about it though. I was able to beat it, and I only have good things to say, right? So yeah, maybe the time factor is something that we don't factor in consciously enough, and talk about like, how's this game gonna fit into my life?
Yeah,
because a lot of times I just play a game and then stop. Like, I just play it and stop and never finish.
And there's certain games that are, and we've talked about a lot about games like all of Ubisoft's open world games, like their Assassin's Creed games that are 300 hours worth of fucking shit.
And honestly, I haven't played them. I bet I would enjoy them, but I haven't played them because of that. I'm like, it's too much. It's too much. I don't know.
Yeah, and they dialed that back. They had the most recent one that dialed that back. So
make it a 20-hour game, and you're like, oh, okay.
I can finish it. I love that. One last thing from this article that I liked that I thought was interesting was that they said some indies at GDC were talking about skipping Xbox and PlayStation, like swinging by and visiting them, because there isn't much of an audience for indies on those platforms if you can't get included in their subscription services. So that's made an interesting thing where if you're an indie dev and you can't get on Game Pass, you're like, well, I'm not going to bother with Xbox then. I'm not going to port it over there, because it's just like clearly they're not doing enough for indies. They don't care because it doesn't make them big money to have a game that's selling for $5 on their platform. So they're like, no, we only care if you're driving people to Game Pass.
And to be honest, like, I can't even remember the last time I went into the Xbox store to look for a purchase, because I've got Game Pass. I only look at Game Pass, and then if there's nothing that I'm interested in playing at the moment,
that is such a huge failing, dude. That's what's so crazy. I do appreciate that they've invested so much in Game Pass, and it made sense. The Netflix of video games will use Microsoft's considerable war chest to attack all these different games, so these game publishers from that angle, but it hasn't panned out. And I think that putting all your eggs in that basket and not even bothering to try to filter those people into your store, or hey, do you want to buy this game so you can own it, or anything? They've just done nothing. It's absolutely, dude, it's mind blowing to me. I don't know what they were fucking thinking. It's too late now. They could have started it 5 years ago with Game Pass, but fucking crazy.
I'm sorry to inform you. Welcome to another company reset. I hope you've updated your resume, 'cause you've just been laid off.
All right, just the one, but it's huge.
It's a big one.
What the fuck?
And I think there's a lot to talk about with it.
Yeah, Microsoft has closed Redfall developer Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks, and more in devastating cuts at Bethesda. Bethesda, which they just acquired, or was it $8 billion? How much was that?
I don't know. But yeah, they went in
$7.5 billion,
oh man,
which
they just
seems
started
like a
closing.
song compared to what they paid for Activision Blizzard just a couple years later, $69 billion.
Man,
And all the legal fees. So yeah, they're looking at like $100+ billion on all these acquisitions, and then they turn around a year or two later and just start firing everybody that they just paid for,
closing down the studios,
closing down the entire fucking studio, which was part of why they bought it. And I just remember, dude, I wish I could go back in time like 2-3 years and just slap us in the face so hard for thinking that this was going to be a good idea, that this is going to work out in a positive way, that Microsoft was going to provide some sort of safe haven for these game studios to be able to have the safety and security and money to just go out and make great games. What were we fucking thinking? So naive.
Well, that's the thing. In retrospect, like we're not analysts, but in retrospect, what we're looking at is the equivalent of buying high and selling low. So they're trend chasing with all these purchases. Because if you think about it, they're like, man, Hi-Fi Rush like just made a ton of money. Let's get those guys. Like Arcane does some great stuff. They're doing Redfall. Let's get those guys, right? So they're like chasing studios, and then like Hi-Fi Rush is released, and they're like, yes, okay, but now you don't have anything coming out. And they're like, well, now what do? We just better shut them down. We don't have the capital to run this studio because we just spent it all on acquiring everything. That
another studio that we can't run, that's not making any money.
Like look, well, I'm not a professional analyst. I'm not. But there are professional analysts out there who, how did they not see this coming?
They're doing a worse job than us.
I can understand
we
how
are not
I
doing
didn't
a
see
good
it
job.
Coming. Our news reporting is very reactionary, and
we're not breaking any news, guys.
We're not breaking news. We're
not
just
reading it.
Making a ton of predictions. We make some, but again, we're not analysts. We're not analyzing
but we're making more accurate predictions than the analysts who are paid to do this stuff.
Like, I don't know. This game made $2 million. I thought it would if they could just do that once a year, we'd make
4
our
times
money
a year, maybe
so
right
fast.
before the end of the quarter would be really convenient. So they've closed a number of Bethesda studios. So Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks, which also did the Evil Within along with Hi-Fi Rush. They closed
the Hi-Fi Rush one is, I think the most jarring for me of this, because they were like, no, we didn't close Redfall because the game sucked, but like, come on.
Why are you doing this?
But the Hi-Fi Rush studio, that game was a hit. That game was a success. That game made money. It was great. I played it. Fantastic game. Nothing but good things to say about it. Like, this was a hit, and they acknowledged that. Like a year ago, they were like, man, Hi-Fi Rush, oh, what a banger. Like, we love these guys.
So good to have this in our portfolio. We don't want more of this.
Do you know what they said about Redfall? When Redfall was releasing, they're like, okay, like, we know it's a problem, but we are going to spend years fixing this. And this is this is a quote. The guy says, when people go to log into Game Pass in 10 years, Redfall is going to be there and people are going to play it. Like, they're expecting this to be Left 4 Dead, and it's gone. Like, it's done. The people, we talked about this last week, the people who spent $100 to get the character pack.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to find a way to, they didn't say we're going to pay them back. They said we're going to find a way to compensate them or something like that. Like, so I get some credit in something. I don't know. But this is, I think the Hi-Fi Rush one is devastating, to be honest. Like, a good studio that made a great game. And
which is funny,
like, down.
Because after these layoffs, the next day in a company town hall, Matt Booty, our boy Matt Booty, the head of Xbox Game Studios, he said, this is what he said, quote, "We need smaller games that give us prestige and awards." Can you think of any that fit that bill?
Hi-Fi Rush won like all the awards. They won so many awards.
He's like, yeah, but what have you done for me lately? And if you don't do this, I mean, there's a lot more heads I can chop. This is so fucking crazy. They're also offering voluntary severance agreements to a lot of ZeniMax employees. That's the company that owns Bethesda. that is in turn owned, I believe, by Microsoft. He blamed Matt Booty sending an email out to the people that were affected, blamed the cuts on a quote reprioritization of titles and resources.
What? I don't even know what if you tried to if you tried to have me list 3 games that an Xbox or a Microsoft Studio is working on, I don't think I could.
Yep.
I don't think I could list 3. I could list a bunch they shut down, but I can't list
I don't know what their
3.
plan is. It's just so insane. The Bethesda and Activision Blizzard acquisitions, I feel like, are going to be taught in business books in 5-10 years of like what not to do in M&A. And it also freaks me out that that's what the Nintendo president was talking about, M&A. I don't know how that seems to be. Oh yeah, that's the third thing that you do if you're a lazy idiot businessman. You either do layoffs, you do ads, or you just go buy another company that just made a bunch of money last year.
Maybe they can do it again.
Maybe they can do it again this year. I fucking hope so, because I just
they better
tooth and nail for 2 years to make sure it happened. This is another funny quote from Matt Booty's email that I thought was kind of weird. Quote, "Those whose roles will be impacted will be notified today, and we ask that you please treat your departing colleagues with the respect and compassion." Why did he feel the need to say that? What? Who are they admitting they just have like a whole floor full of sociopaths somewhere that need to be reminded?
Nice. Gosh.
I mean, or just be neutral. Honestly, like someone gets laid off. I don't know who needs like, they're like, I'm so glad Matt reminded me about
pointing
compassion.
and laughing. Ugh.
Yeah. Storgle says because he works at Microsoft. So yeah, I guess the whole company is just a company full of sociopaths. So guys, remember that on top of this, 3 months ago, Microsoft just cut 1,900 video game jobs. That was in like February.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, here we have full studio closures. I don't think they're done. I think this is the second of 3 or 4 big reductions in force. I don't know what to say. This is despicable. It's crazy. It's unnecessary. It's just padding the bottom line for just a quarter or two. This is like pulling money out of an ATM and then being like, I'm rich. It's like, well, now you have less money in your bank account.
It's like waving around the credit card and being like, dude, I can buy whatever I want. Look at this. I got a credit card. I just got one.
You're stealing from yourself.
Got a brand new one.
To juice your stock price here. And I just don't know. So over it, man. Fucking over these layoffs.
We kind of talked about this. They don't have the money to run the studios that they have. There's a quote here that says, "It's hard to support 9 studios all across the world with a lean central team and an ever-growing plate of things to
Might
do."
you buy them all, you stupid fuck faces?
No one forced you to do that.
Did you see that coming? You just did this a couple years ago. It's not like this has always been how it has been.
So new.
You idiots. You used to just do like Halo and Age of Empires. What went wrong, you fuckheads?
Also, Booty says a quote. He says, Xbox and Bethesda Studios have become spread too thin, like peanut butter on bread. And I understand they're spread too thin, but I was like, why are you just put more peanut butter on your bread? Like that's a terrible analogy. Peanut butter on bread? How thin are you putting it on your sandwich? I was also a little bit offended by that. I was like, bro, don't be stingy with the peanut butter. So I didn't like that analogy. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. Put more peanut butter on your bread.
I honestly can't tell who I hate more this week. Matt Booty or fucking Eric Sheridan.
Eric Sheridan.
It's really neck and neck. But
you said this last week, and I loved it, and I remembered it because you said these are unforced errors. Nobody made them do any of this. They decided to do this, and they just they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They just decided to 27 days or whatever it's called their leg, and they're not even trapped anywhere. They were fine, and they're just like, I'm gonna cut my whole foot off.
They do this over and over and over again, and they've been the Xbox in general, like as a platform, has just been failing up for 15 years. Look what the Kinect was, an abject failure. And they spent so much time and energy on it that they actually came out with the Kinect 2 with the next
think we can
Xbox,
do
the
better.
Xbox One. And the Xbox One was its own failure because it tried to be an everything box that they claimed it would replace your cable box and everything else on your TV, and it would be the all-in-one platform. And then they bailed on that within, honestly, the 6 months after launch. They're like, oh, no, it's just an Xbox. A fucking Xbox. Throw that Kinect 2 in the trash. You don't want that. We only have 5 games for it. And then they come out with this series, and it's just the same thing over and over again because the series is so reliant on Game Pass. This is like the whole thing. It's the series is just a Game Pass machine. But now Game Pass requires you to go get a ton of first party titles. So what do? You go to you just Google what is biggest game company, and then you just click buy like it's fucking eBay. But then it doesn't buy, so you just keep mashing buy, and the price keeps going up. And the lawyers come in and keep dropping bills on your desk, but you're just mashing buy on eBay, and now you're here. How are they allowed to do? And you're dragging now, at this point, you are dragging a significant chunk of the video game industry down with you.
And JD, here's maybe the wildest part of all of this for me. They're not the only ones. There was no analyst at any point doing some math and saying this is not going to work out. I think these numbers were very predictable. Like this, the cost of running these companies was very predictable. Like these are pretty standard numbers you can get. I would assume you get in an acquisition, because what's their faces? Embracer did the same exact thing. Like, how do we have multiple people doing this at the same time? I don't understand.
At least Embracer had a second step in their Ponzi scheme, which is to get the Saudis to boost them up for another 2 years so they could snatch another 1,500 studios before everything went tits up. Like they had a second step. I don't know what Xbox's plan was.
They were like, I don't know, can Windows carry the company some more? Sales of Microsoft Windows, Excel?
I think the ultimate idea with Game Pass is to get it so many people have it and so many people use it and so many people are hooked on it that you can jack the price up like Netflix has done.
Yeah.
They went from like an $8 a month service to like $25 or $40 for some people. It's fucking crazy. So that's what they'd like to do. But Netflix delivered like a good product at some point, which Game Pass has kind of failed to do in the last like couple years. And certainly the big things that they were promised, the equivalent of the Stranger Things that Microsoft promised us, are failing. The Activision Blizzard titles, the Bethesda titles, Redfall, things like that are just failing.
And here's the thing. I think, like, so from what I've read, Game Pass itself is profitable and Game Pass is making money, but they're using that to support all of these other poor decisions, and that includes running 9 major studios.
Game Pass is not making enough
to run all of
$70 billion acquisition. No,
exactly. So that's like, yes, you made a profitable service, but you are making huge mistakes outside of that, and so that's the huge problem. They should have just stuck with their business model of like, we're going to get everything on this. And you're going to have 150 games a month. And like, we'll get some big ones out there sometimes. And like, we'll make a couple with the studios we already have. They were making money doing that. But they just got too greedy. They dug too deep and too greedily.
Yeah. It's so fucking funny to imagine like the actual real boiled down exchange is that this studio, Activision Blizzard, ostensibly, not that they were doing well, but is doing well and making money, and so well that another company comes along. They're like, we want to buy you. And you're like, really? They're like, yeah, we think you're worth this much and we're going to give this to your executives. And they're like, okay, cool. And then day one, they turn around. They're like, hey, so you owe us $70 billion. Where's that?
You just bought us. We're just working.
They're like, dude, we just work here. They're like, no. You owe us that. Like, that's what you're on the books for.
Well, then put your game out. And they're like,
You gonna make that up to us? Because we paid $70 billion.
Give me
for
Call of
you.
Duty. Where's my Call of Duty?
And the only person that saw like any of that are the Bobby Koticks of the company, and they're just like off flapping their bat wings somewhere.
He's like, there is no Call of Duty.
Fucking crazy. Dude, fuck Microsoft forever. These guys suck.
Embrace
Bat Booty,
Microsoft. You guys are screwed the pooch.
kiss my ass. Fuck you. Just one riblet this week fell on the floor, and you reached over, and you didn't even order riblets, but somebody ordered one. The waiter was delivering it. It fell off the plate, and you're like, well,
You
free
got a little
riblet.
niblet of a riblet.
I'll have a niblet of a riblet. Come on, I'm only human. Helldivers 2, the Steam store has been mostly saved. I saw today it's up to mixed reviews with 67% positive. Do you remember what it was last week? Was it what percentage?
Overwhelmingly negative.
Was it 20 something?
I can't remember
I can't believe it's a
percentage.
67% positive. That is mind blowing.
We talked about this a little bit in the Discord chat, but it was like the next day because PlayStation came out and we forced gamers came together and forced PlayStation to reverse their decision of requiring you to log in with your PlayStation login. They said, never mind. This is
no, sorry.
And so gamers were like, we won. And they started changing their reviews. Literally, which I said that's what they'd have to do. They literally
you called
their
it.
reviews. And that was the only way. Like this review says, this game is so good that we even had a campaign mission in real life. Because of the campaigns you're playing with the whole community. So yeah, this is great. Like democracy has prevailed, that sort of thing. So it has been. Quick kudos to the community because this story makes me laugh. It's hilarious. You guys are hilarious. The reviews are funny. Your review bombing was done, I think, correctly. Of course, it still has it had amazing reviews before, and now it doesn't look so great still. But what
Better
you
than
guys
it was.
did was you used your reviews to make a difference. Now, I can understand the scores being still a little bit low because it's still bricked in a bunch of countries, like 20 countries or something like that. And not like little countries, talking like Philippines and like Southeast Asian countries who do play video games. Like they can't play it. They bought it and they can't play it now. And so that's still a mistake that they have to rectify. But hey, like we made strides and our reviews changed. And I can't believe that the reviews changed so much. We're talking like a couple 100,000 reviews.
I've never seen something like this quick. Like it took, like you talked about, No Man's Sky took them 5 years to do what Helldivers 2's nut job community has done in a matter of days.
Yeah, incredible. So we had to report on that because we talked about it last week.
Kudos. Positivity segment. You know, things are a bummer all the time. This isn't a bummer. Well, actually, Peterson, just keep the bummer train going.
I have a kudos.
We'll rinse everyone's mouth out.
This is a great kudos, though. This is a great kudos because I was like, you know what? I haven't seen in years a good roast. You remember they used to have those Comedy Central roasts? They're huge. They're real popular. Pretty funny. Like I watched a lot of the Justin Bieber ones. Pretty funny. So they did a roast of Tom Brady. It's on Netflix. It was live on Netflix. I think Netflix's first live event. It was 3 hours long, which was so freaking long.
That's like an extended edition of Lord of the Rings for a roast of Tom Brady.
Why don't you just
show that video of him kissing his son who's laying prostate?
No one even
on the mouth.
No one even talked about that.
And that's it. That's the fucking roast. Is how many times Tom Brady kisses his kids on the mouth.
And it wasn't even like a fun kiss, like mwah.
No,
like,
it
was like a
fucking weird,
quiet, long kiss. It was weird. Yeah,
no,
they didn't even talk about that. I think they kept his kids out of it, to be honest. But okay, so this is a long roast, and I will say there were a couple highlights. like Nikki Glazer. She's an actual comedian.
Mm-hmm.
She came out and crushed it. Easily the best set of the night, no question. Kevin Hart was hosting it, and he was almost funny a few times. He was but most of the time not funny. He spent a lot of his time coming up in between each set and being like, "Aren't we having fun? Oh man!" Like trying to, when people say that, like trying to convince you that you're having a good time. Like, we have fun together. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like. Like he was trying to convince everyone there that they were enjoying this, because most of it was very awkward, not funny. Like, there was a whole bunch of football players there, like teammates, and some of them were hilarious. Like, some of them had some really great jokes, but like Gronk got up, and he got up late, so he's probably a little bit drunk, and man, he started just winging it, and it was horrible. So much of it was like just
Why
like
did you watch this
awkward.
all? Why didn't you turn this off? Is there nothing else for you to watch?
So remember those few nights when I just couldn't sleep at all? I was like, this is gonna make me fall asleep, but I just couldn't sleep.
Wow.
So
That
I
is
just and this took me 3 nights to watch, to be honest, because I was like, this is stupid. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna give it a chance. I want to hear from Tom Brady. Tom Brady did
Netflix.
okay, but genuinely, guys, don't bother. This is what I'm saying. You can watch the highlights online if you really want to know if you hate Tom Brady, but it was all like, it was just like the jokes about Tom Brady were haha, you got divorced from Giselle. She left you for her karate instructor or whatever it was, and you're gay. That was it. Like, that was all the jokes.
Cool.
It was, guys, it was not good. Easily the worst one I've ever seen. Easily the worst one I've ever seen.
But
So
we have
don't watch
learned
it.
that Netflix is the leading streaming service in insomnia content. So they got the crap you are trying to watch so you can fall asleep and you won't.
Yep.
Speaking of streaming stuff, I watched something that I can't believe I haven't seen before. It's on Amazon Prime. Jenna found it. It's a docu-series, 4 episodes, Lula Rich. This is a documentary series, limited series about the multi-level marketing pyramid scheme, LuLaRoe, which, if you're unfamiliar, was all about selling cheap clothing. So instead of Tupperware parties, you were having legging parties.
Yeah.
And that's all you really need to know. However, watching this documentary, and that's what I thought. That's why I probably wouldn't have thought to see this if Jenna didn't pick it out. But watching this documentary, I was like, holy shit. The entire time, all we kept saying to each other, Jenna and I just kept turning to each other and just saying, this is insane. This is insane. Just over and over again, this is insane. Because that's all I could think, is that there's so many different like twists and turns. It seems like it started on like I wouldn't say like as an honest business, but like as a like semi decent idea, which is just like one woman selling leggings and dresses that she got from like a cheap source to her friends. And almost as soon as she made like $100, she's like, I got to turn this into a scam. How can this
scam people?
How can I scamify this? I can get so rich. And it just shows these people. I don't know how they got them to agree to it, but the 2 co-founders were interviewed extensively throughout this entire thing.
That's crazy, because usually you don't get the
and so there's people talking shit on them,
goods.
and they're ripping them apart, and then they show them saying something, and then it cuts to the interview, and they just lie through their fucking teeth. Right, like they just lie, and things that they've shown are demonstrably true or false, and they just lie about them, and it is crazy. And then like it's a husband wife and a duo, and I swear to God, the wife gets like horny when the husband lies. Like, he's lying really good, and you can see her; she's just like squirming.
She's, like, into it.
Yeah, she's like, I like that. That is, that's what I married you, because you're a huge lying con man. You're my huge lying con man. There's a match, there's a pair for everyone. Anyway, Lula Rich, Amazon Prime, must watch if you're interested in those types of things. I liked it because it was like the Fyre Fest documentary where you don't really feel bad for even the victims. Like, yeah, it did ruin a lot of lives, and like marriages. And it's so funny because one woman at the end of an episode, she just goes, I just sat there and realized, I just asked myself, wait, am I in a cult? And then the credits roll, and you're like, yeah, it is. It was like a cult, which I feel like the Tupperware and like Cutco don't really reach the cult status that this place did.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's good. I would say watch this over the roast of Tom Brady.
Don't watch that one.
Feel a lot better after you watch it, because it's like, yeah, like I said, like even the people that are getting fucked up, you're like, yeah, but you should have known when they told you to give them $10,000 to be a business owner, and you had to take out a lien on your home. You know, max out credit cards. Something should have clicked in there. Anyway, that's yeah, check that shit out. What do you have? One more?
Speaking of other things to watch, I got a good one. I had to do a good one too. This is a kudos for Disney Plus series X-Men 97.
Okay.
This is an animated series in the style and everything of the original X-Men the animated series that aired in the 90s. I used to watch that one. Wow. I am mostly done with X-Men 97, and it is incredible. Blowing my mind just how awesome it is. How they are not afraid to like kill people, kill heroes. Like they're not afraid of anything. And it's crazy. It's very good. Like if you're a fan of X-Men at all, you probably have already watched this, but if you haven't, please go watch it, because it is. I saw someone say like this might be the best thing that Marvel's put out since Endgame, and it's got to be top 5 for sure. I mean, I did like some of the other series. I thought they were fun, but this is very good. It's animated. It's easy to watch. It's fun, but you do got to pay attention a little bit, because there are some like storylines that are going on that are pretty intense. And just like to give you the premise, like the very beginning, the first thing, so it's not much of a spoiler. Charles Xavier's dead. He's not there. He's dead. That's how it starts.
Dang.
Charles Xavier has been recently assassinated, which I guess happens in the old X-Men one, like at the end of it. So he has been assassinated, and now they're like, what do we do? And it's great. Watch it. X-Men 97, please watch it. I think you'll really love it.
Nice. And that's on
Disney Plus.
Nice.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. The first impression rose. First impression rose. Oh my god. The first impression rose.
First impression rose when we've just started playing a game and we want to talk about it so bad we can't wait to do a rundown.
Yep.
So we do a first impression rose. Peterson recently went on a date with a game that he's been eyeing for a long, long time called...
You know, like there's creepy guys who are like waiting for that starlet to turn 18.
That's Peterson with Hades 2.
I was like, Hades 2's coming out? Oh, I can't freaking... Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited. So it came out. Yes, I purchased this. I know. I was trying to think of a different one for dating, and I couldn't think of one.
I hate it so much.
That's what it is. That's what it is, okay?
That's what we're calling it.
So
Peterson.
This game this game came out this game came out and I bought it. It's early access. I bought it that day.
Was the first one come out in early access, or did it just come out as a 1.0?
I genuinely don't remember.
Okay.
I think it came out at 1.0. So this one came out early access, and they've even said like full release is not going to be until sometime next year, probably. So they're not like
you're testers. All of you are testers.
Yeah, like they're saying like, hey, this game's not done. But can I tell you, this game feels done. Like I don't know what else they're gonna add. They'll probably maybe add some more weapons and stuff like that, like maybe some more boons from the
gun. Not buggy though. It doesn't have traditional early access foibles.
Not at all. And it's not like I don't feel like there's man, we don't have enough content. I was worried because one of the things I love about Hades is unlocking a lot of stuff. I have so much stuff to unlock. There's so much to do. And so, okay, so let me go back and tell you if you aren't familiar with Hades, because I apparently some
Wait.
people don't know what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I was telling Steven that I was playing this, and he was like, "Oh, is that like Diablo?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? This is not like Diablo. It's nothing like Diablo."
You an idiot.
He's like, "Yes, it is." And I was like, "Okay, how do I explain this?" So I was trying to use comparisons to other games he hasn't played. So this is a action RPG, and it is the primary thing though is very much a roguelike. In the first game, Hades, you are playing as the son of Hades. You're in the underworld. You're stuck in the underworld. You're trying to get out. You don't want to be there anymore. And your dad's like, "You idiot! Like you're not
I
getting
hate
out."
it down here. It's all hot.
And turns out that you can't leave. You can literally not survive outside of Hades. So there's like this whole thing. So Hades 2 plays very much the same, but this time you are Melinoe, that is Hades' secret daughter, and you have been whisked away to a different plane of existence. You're in a place called the Crossroads, because Kronos, the Titan of time,
Mhm.
has taken over Hades, and he is currently holed up in Hades. You don't know what's happened to your mom and your dad and your brother. He's currently holed up in Hades fighting the gods on Olympus. So this is like I said, action roguelike where you go in, you select a weapon. I think there's 4 different weapons right now. Select a weapon, you go out into the world and you start fighting. And the first level, kind of like Undermine, first level kind of has the same types of guys. Then you go to the next, you beat that one, beat the boss of that one, then you go to the next one. And you're fighting those guys, and they're a little bit different. That was like the water stage, and like the bosses are sirens, and they're like in a band. and so you're going through and fighting. I mean, honestly, it's very, very, very much like Hades 1. There's some slight differences. Your character has like, instead of like just crazy amounts of dashes that your first character had in Hades 1, Hades 2, you have a sprint. You run or you sprint around, zip around the map. And the weapons definitely feel different, and the systems are slightly different. It is more, you are magic. You're a magic wielder. So you're doing magic stuff, casting spells, but you're also going through, and the roguelike elements are you're collecting kind of resources as you go through. It's like spendable resources when you get back to, when you die, inevitably, you're going to go back and you can unlock a couple things. You can, that's how you unlock weapons, and you unlock, like you get these rings that kind of help you throughout each run that you can change out by talking to characters and giving them gifts and things like that. And as you go through the map, as you're going through the dungeons, you are collecting boons from the gods on Olympus. You find them, and they're like, "Hey," and they talk to you. One thing I absolutely love about these Hades games, they are fully voice acted, and they're well done. So every god has their own voice, and they have a lot of lines. There's so many lines. They'll respond to what's happening in the world, where you are in the game. You run into Kronos, and they're like, "Oh, you met Kronos? I hate that guy." Like they're talking about him. When you die and you show back up in your room back at the Crossroads, you'll go talk to characters, and they're like, "You died to a Hydra." Like they'll talk about how you died, or you'll mention how you died. So I love it. I love that.
How much have you played?
Feels
so far?
like a live world. I have played 5.5 hours.
So that's like that's like a dozen or so runs. You've done?
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Like dozen or so runs, because I honestly, the water level for me for some reason is so hard, and I think I realized I wasn't playing patient enough. I was just like, get in there, kill, and that's not necessarily how this character plays with every single build. You can have builds where you do play like that, but you have to be a little bit more strategic than in Hades 1. like you have one of your abilities that you have it doesn't matter what weapon you're using, is it creates this magic circle around you, like on the ground, and anything entering that circle freezes for a little bit. Well, I forget to use that ability all the time because I'm just like dash around, kill, sprint around, shoot. I'm
Got
like
to use
doing
all
this
your
stuff.
kit.
And so I do forget to use that one. There's also like what's slightly different is all of your spells, like because I use the Xbox controller, so all the four main buttons have a different attack. But if you hold them down, it takes a minute longer, but it has a more upgraded attack and it uses your mana type of thing. And so that's a little bit different because there's a special attack for everything. So this game plays honestly very much like Hades 1. If you enjoyed Hades 1, there's no reason to not play this. But they just captured this magic again. They did not revolutionize anything. It wasn't like they tried to come in and be like, you should see this crazy new systems, all these crazy new things that we added. They just made the same game with a different story, with a different character, with all this different stuff happening. The game that you love, you can play it again with new content, and it is fantastic.
Am I seeing this right? There's farming in this and looks like resource gathering.
So yeah, like that's one of the resources you can collect, or like because you're not in Hades, right? And so you're collecting like plants and stuff. And so one thing that you can unlock is like just little plots that you can plant some of the flowers that you need. Yeah.
That's funny.
They just added a couple extra things. Your character, while definitely has some similarities to Zagreus, who's the character in Hades 1,
right?
You are a little different. You are you're a little more formal. In Zagreus was super antagonistic with Hades, who was like his dad, but running the underworld. Like they were constantly butting heads. The lady running the crossroads is like your mentor. So she's like very helpful to you, and like she's trying to help you along. It's like a positive relationship. And so that feels a little bit different. You can salute any character you can talk to, and she'll be like, say some lines. She's like, death to Kronos, and they're like, death to Kronos, and like I just love it. I love it so much. I know this game didn't like sit with you, JD, but like Hades,
I could see how someone could love it. I never had I could always see that. It just wasn't my jam.
It just wasn't going for you. But if you liked Hades 1, honestly, like I'll probably stop playing it soon. Similar to what I did with Baldur's Gate 3, I'll play it, stop playing it, and then just wait for 1.0, like scratch that itch, wait for 1.0. But I definitely still have some in. Like even today, I was like, man, I want to play some Hades 2. But I'll stop at some point because I know there's going to be more stuff to unlock and more things I want to do and more like talking to the characters. So I'll stop and just wait for that. And of course, the game's not finished, so there's no like end to the game right now. So I think I'll just play until I can kind of get a little further, and then then I'll call it. And when the 1.0 comes out, get back into it. So I'll definitely have a revisiting hours for this game sometime next year.
Yeah, this will be cool to kind of hear how you dip in and out on it.
I'm interested to see what they change too, because I know they'll change some stuff. There are a couple things where I'm like, ooh, if this had, if this had this ability, or if there were, I think there's going to be a lot more boons from the gods, because right now it doesn't feel like there's a ton. Like I see the same ones over and over. Whereas in Hades 1, there was so many. Like the runs felt very different. And this one, they don't necessarily. I think there's a lot of boons they haven't released yet, and so I'm excited to see what they do with this, because wow, this team is just crushing it with these games, absolutely nailing it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see
how this is if you like
how much is it right now?
It's $30. I can't imagine it'll go on sale anytime soon. So unless they're desperate for cash, which I don't think they are, because Supergiant is the one doing it.
Yeah.
And they are a publisher as well as a developer, so they do have like income flows, and they do release some good games, and so I could see them just kind of keeping it at 30 until the game releases, and then it'll go on sale 6 months later or something like that. So
nice.
Play it. It's a great game.
Stamp it. Hades 2.
Dice of Destiny.
All right, Dice of Destiny. This game we play at the end of every episode. We roll a 6-sided dice to see who will be rolling the Dice of Destiny itself, a 20-sided dice with 20 different game genres assigned to it. Last week, I rolled a 20, a nat 20.
Yeah, you did.
Which means I get to play whatever I fucking want. And because I can play whatever I want, I went back to my backlog, went through to see what games are burning a hole in my backlog, and I found WrestleQuest. WrestleQuest, which sat on my wish list forever and now has been sitting in my backlog for a minute since I picked it up at the latest Steam sale. It's an RPG, like an old school pixel RPG, like a JRPG kind of.
It almost looks like Streets of Rage, like the old school one.
Yeah. But it's a wrestling game, so it's like a turn-based RPG. But it's wrestling, so you do like wrestling moves, and
this looks really good.
It seems good, right? And it's like it's got classic wrestlers in it. It just seems like a solid game. I'm hoping maybe this can pull me away from Balatro on the Steam Deck. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Can a game get me off of this off the Steam Deck?
Is that Jake the Snake?
Yeah, they got all the guys.
Yeah,
you might have to get this. You love wrestling.
It honestly does look really. It looks really cool.
That everybody that's like, listen, like a fan of this podcast, take that as a huge recommendation for this game. That Peterson of all people is like, all right, yeah, no, this looks dope. Like it just fits, right? It just seems like a good fit for wrestling. I've been saying this for a couple of years now that I feel like wrestling almost fits better in a video game than it does in real life. Like as a concept, when you watch the wrestlers and they like get hit a lot and they have to like rest, like in a fight, that's what happens. You like lean on something for a couple minutes and you like recharge and you're back again. That type of stuff makes very little sense in real life, but in a video game.
You know what we need? We need to, I think I cracked one of the codes that people struggle with. We need to hire whoever the story writers are for actual wrestling.
Yeah.
To just make video game stories.
They apparently have done that because Jackson has been telling me that the WWE 2K24 game has like amazing stories. Like the storylines
doing it for all the games.
Oh, okay.
Because they just understand like how to make like a conflict and then like had a bad guy and a good guy and like I don't know, you could root for either of them if you like want it. And like they know how to make the story turn and like people are into it apparently. So like maybe that's what they need to do.
I think you're a WWE writer. You probably don't have, especially right now, you probably don't have a lot of trouble getting a job somewhere else writing on any product.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, maybe that's what they need to do. Just like, hey, hire them to do some freelance or not freelance, but hire them, to just work on as a contractor on their video game. Be like, here's the story. What can you do with it? Give me a side quest. They'd probably be great at making side quests.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm stoked. So I think this could be good. I think it could be really good. The reviews on it, I think, are stellar. Are you on the Steam page?
They are. It's only 360 reviews.
Ooh, beautiful. I like that.
Very positive. The recent reviews are mixed, and that is 12 reviews.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it's not universally beloved, which is interesting because that's kind of cool. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
The top reviewer, one of the top reviews, has 145 hours in this game.
Okay.
I guess go on vacation, leave it on.
Like, what? I don't know how you play it that much, but maybe I'll find out. So that's WrestleQuest, and I'll hopefully have a review for us next week for that.
Tight.
All right, so that is it on this shorty. Yeah, it's not that short.
Is it? It's short for us.
That's short for us. To play us out, we've got some music from Hades 2. This is Death to Kronos.
Death to Kronos.
Death to Time. I like it. All right. Thanks to Snorgle for coming and hanging out in our YouTube. And you guys can jump on our YouTube and subscribe to us.
Jeff came in and put a sad emoji.
Oh, nice.
I don't know when he did that, so hopefully it wasn't just like a commentary on us, but
if it is, it's fair.
it.
It's valid.
We get it. We get it,
So,
Jeff.
yeah, come hang out on YouTube or Facebook Live, I guess.
Yeah. Facebook, you can see it.
Facebook. Oh, about Tango. All right. So that's all I got. That's all I got. I'm JD logging off.
This is Peterson going AFK.
Oh, thanks.